back to They Did What? Your social internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to go over a story that was actually sent to me over in the SSM channel, but given the content and how it goes, I thought it'd be better suited over here. This is about a guy, he's 39 years old, I believe. He lives in Western Europe, doesn't say what country he's from. And he's sharing his story about how he got even with his ex and is still in the process of getting even with her. After 5 years of being together, found out she was cheating the whole time. And our guy here, who we'll talk about when he was younger, he was one of those guys that was very indifferent towards girls, and therefore they flocked to him. But he got in a really bad accident, and after getting injured and not being able to do things he used to, it shattered his confidence. And then he started repelling most girls because he was depressed all the time, and it started attracting the wrong ones. And it goes to show you guys it really is about your vibe and who you are and all that, and charisma and stuff like that. But our guy here definitely goes out of definitely a good path of revenge while also beginning to better himself. So that'd be a good entertaining one to go over, a good revenge story that you guys might find pretty funny. So it starts off, says here, Dear SSM, you can call me John. I'm 39 years old from a Western European country. Somehow I was born somewhat indifferent about everything in life, and this caused me to do pretty well with the ladies in my younger years. My so-called bad boy tendencies attracted them by the masses. When I was 23 years old, I saw this interview with a 66-year-old Mick Jagger bragging about sleeping with 300 women, and I thought to myself, well, if I continue like this, I'll pass this number by the age 30 without being a rock star. Okay, dude, let's not get an ego here. And nobody here believes that Mick Jagger slept with just 300 women. I think he slept with 300 women in a freaking year. I think he meant a year, not an all-time. And frankly, why would you want to? I think your package would fall off. He says, maybe this is when God decided that he had a different route for me in mind. You mean he was humbling you? At age 25, I got hit by a car while riding my paddle bike. The doctors told me I could never walk again. Holy crap. Before the accident, I did martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and ballroom dancing on a high level. I could go pro with both sports if I wanted to, but I had to stop one of them, either jiu-jitsu or ballroom dancing. And if I wanted to go for ballroom dancing, I need to stop jiu-jitsu. But since I didn't want to stop either of them, I never went pro. After the accident, it took me almost 4 years to recover to the point where I could do everything again. This is considered normal for a human being. 4 years of being hung up. I mean, that's terrible. That would shatter confidence in anybody. It's amazing that you recovered. Well, my whole identity was attached to these sports, and it caused me to get very depressed. I'd stopped going to the gym, felt sorry for myself, and had the idea that I would end up alone because in my eyes I became less than average. And he says, I know smack. Well, bro, that could have an accident like that could happen to any of us. And frankly, I wouldn't think you'd be a human being if you weren't depressed about that for a little while. You know, but you can't let that, as hard as it is, keep you down forever, guys. You know, but that's normal. And as you're well aware, this caused me to give off a desperate vibe to women. The women that used to throw themselves at me like flies, and without noticing it, the women that I did attract were the ones that I now place in the category genetic waste. Yeah, you attracted the wrong ones because then they're like, okay, I can take advantage of this guy. But foolish, self-pitying me started to get serious with one of these types. And while she begged me for months to have a relationship with me, my gut told me not to do it. On the day we became official, I told her the following. I feel like I'm at my weakest right now, and something tells me you will make use of it. But I let myself get convinced that she would not. You actually said that to her? Smack! You were pretty low in your life and desperate. Well, let's see how this goes. What followed was a 5-year relationship straight out of hell, combined with me not having the backbone to leave. Smack! Because you thought you couldn't get any better. You were that worn down. You needed someone like me kicking you in the ass. What happened to the guy you were before? You said you could walk again, but yeah, you know, you just couldn't do what you used to do. But you can't have your whole identity wrapped up in a couple things. Then in 2022, I looked back at life and saw the change. I then found your channels and started reading about women. But I got in a situation where the housing market was terrible here, and I had the agreement with my girlfriend that if we indeed broke up, one would get the house and one would get the cat. Well, that's a tough one. I love my cats, and I also love my house. Or, better yet, you figure things out that you get both. I knew for sure that she was cheating, and I didn't want her to get the cat nor the house. But because of the indifference had kicked in, it didn't hurt me at all. Now, I know you always say it's just best to part ways, but I also knew she wouldn't mind if I just left, and I want her to A, suffer a bit, and B, to know that if she comes back, as they always do, she had hit rock bottom. Well, I can't blame you for wanting some revenge, but at my age, almost 48, I just don't need drama. So it would have been easy if you just parted ways. But then again, we wouldn't have a good story if you didn't plan revenge, so it is what it is. This is when I decided for the first time in my life to use my professional skills in my job for a private matter. My job was being a crisis analyst for companies, and my ego couldn't resist bringing her stress to peak level. Well, at least you can admit it. Well, for the next 10 months, whilst getting stronger every day, I pretended to become weaker and more dependent every day. I started effing a couple of her friends, and some of her family members too, who were cut from the same wood that she was, and I made sure they all knew it from each other. Next to that, I started to let her jump through hoops by purposely almost catching her and becoming less predictable in my schedule. So, you're deliberately acting like a simp to turn her off more, to literally push her in the direction of being worse to you and cheating on you and all that. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, you're banging her friends and a couple of her family members. Yeah, nice people. But again, how many stories have I covered? How many of you guys have witnessed this yourselves? How your girlfriend or wife's friends, if you are considered a catch, will hit on you. I've had girlfriends in the past where one of the first serious girlfriends, not serious, but fairly girlfriend, 15 years old or 16, her best friend was all over me. You know, and this has happened different times in life. It's amazing what they do to each other. But because I was pretending to become weaker, she got more confident and started to act out more. Well, she was turned off by you, but also saw you as desperate for her. I knew this was just a small meal ticket, or that I was just a small meal ticket, and that marriage and children was still her end goal. So when she finally asked for an open relationship, I wrote her the ultimate simp letter saying I couldn't even marry her with a good conscience, making her plans fall in the water. As expected, she dumped me on the spot. Well, that's what you wanted. But now you got to figure out the house and the cat. But you already have a plan in mind. 5 years, man, you wasted with her, but it took all that crap in my channel to help you wake up to reality. Then it was the time for the next phase of the plan. After I got dumped, I claimed the apartment, knowing well she couldn't find one so easily. I then hired one of the private detectives that I worked with for a long time, and I explained to him that I needed her to find a house where she wasn't allowed to have pets, or that it was too small to have a pet. Within a week, he had taken care of it. I had to pay 2,500 euros and let my ex join a lottery where a big student room could be won. And surprise, surprise, she won and left without the cat. But before she left, I copied all her digital communication and digitized her diaries, which I put on an external hard drive. Oh, so you got all her dirt on a hard drive, all saving for a perfect moment. And by the way, you spent basically 2,500 euros to get the cat. I would do the same thing. But I am a animal lover and love my cats too. Now, a couple years later, I'm doing even better. I'm meditating, reading, and doing sports daily. Good for you, bro. You're back to who you were. Next to that, I started my own business, in which I'm absolutely doing very well. All the memories with my ex are contaminated, and I see it as an expensive life lesson that I need to go through to become more of the man that I am today. I hardly ever think about her, and if I do, it's just a blank page in history. Right, you're indifferent now. But yeah, you had to go through all that to get back on track and learn. A lot of people have to hit such a low point for them to change. Well, with a life mission and hardly any distractions, smartphones in black and white, and no scrolling, no Netflix, the women are beginning to throw themselves at me again. But I decline them, all other than the occasional hookup. Okay, let's not let your ego get out of control, dude. But yeah, you've done the relationship thing, you're not doing that again. A couple weeks back, I needed something from my external hard drive, and I found the diaries and digital communication of my ex. After the relationship ended, I kept it because I thought one day I would want to know the extent of the betrayal. I didn't feel like reading it at the time, but Windows 11 gives this preview of the document in which something about sex caught my eye. I opened the document and started reading. So when you were getting all her information, I guess you were just copying it from her hard drive or taking pictures or whatever, but you really didn't dig too deep into it. And now you're seeing really what happened, and damn, you're pissed. But also your ego wants revenge. It said that next to me, during our relationship, she was having you-know-what with 3 other men. The document dated from 2 months after we started dating. Once a cheater, always a cheater. It didn't hurt me at all, but it made me more curious about how deep the betrayal went. So I kept reading and reading and reading. During my read, I found that she had never had a relationship in which she didn't cheat multiple times with multiple people. Again, once a cheater, always a cheater. I also found out that when she arranged a threesome that ended with us having an STD, was planned to explain how she or we got an STD. And for the cherry on top, I found out that she didn't pass her master's thesis for university. She got an F, but she F'd the professor multiple times and left the university with a B+. So let's review here. So not that doesn't happen when young women will F their freaking male professors, or sometimes their female professors, and get a passing grade and all that. That's fraud. But also the fact that, what else? You had a 3-way, and she had an STD, and she gave it to you. Okay, and knowing that she did that ain't good. This says everything about her character. Now, in my country, having you-know-what with someone, knowing full well that you have an STD, is at least aggravated assault with a maximum 8-year prison sentence. But in some cases, even poisoning, maximum 12 years prison time if the person doesn't die. Next to that, she got her diploma by committing fraud, and it's a maximum 6 years jail time in my country. For that? Prison time for that? Holy crap. This all means that if she had any balls, they would be in my hand. And something tells me I should feel a lot about finding this out, but it only makes me feel more powerful. I first decided to wait a couple of days and not take any impulsive action. I then contacted the PI friend that I used before and hired him again. He found that she has a boyfriend but is not engaged at this time. Next to that, she has a well-paying job that normally requires you to have a diploma that you didn't use your genitals to acquire. I made a nice package of all the documentation, which I sent to my best friend. In case anything ever happens to me, he'll make sure that if she ever gets married, her fiancé and employer will receive the package a month before the wedding. Yeah, that'll end it. Next to that, I asked the PI to keep tabs on her every 2 months and just send me the bill and not tell me anything about her until she gets engaged. Man, you are dedicated. You are committed to getting even with her. I mean, that was nice you were banging some of her friends, a couple family members, great people, by the way, and you orchestrated things to get her out and get the cat, but damn, dude, I don't blame you. So if she ever thinks that she'll get married, her life will crash. Is it vengeful? Maybe. But as the father of George said in part 2 of your story, man uses cunning in his famous lasagna to expose cheating fiancé and send her back to the whatever. He said there are some things that simply being sorry for is not enough. Sometimes what is required is a pound of flesh. So SSM, am I the a-hole for preventing my ex to ever get married? You're a lifesaver. No. I got no problem with that. Some people will say I'm softening what I'm about to say here, but I don't want to see her do prison time. To me, that just... I got no problem with you ruining her engagement, although I guarantee you she's already ruining her engagement. There's no way she's not cheating on the guy. And I'd like to see her get fired and some payback to an a-hole. But it's got to be pretty darn bad to get some jail time, in my opinion. And, I don't want to see anybody put behind bars unless it's really, really, really something serious. But then we can go back and forth about the STD thing. So maybe, But anyhow, I got no problem with you ruining the relationship and getting her fired, because that's what she deserves. But again, I'm vengeful too, but I also don't need drama in my life. So I'm glad also that you got the cat. You all know I'm an animal lover and I'm a cat lover, so I'm glad you pulled that off. So bro, I'm glad you got your life turned around. Let's not be so cocky about your being the ladies' man, everything like that, but just go on your path with your business, enjoying your life and all that. And the funny thing is, man, even if you didn't plot this revenge on her with the PI and all the information going to her fiance, I'm sure in her own actions she'll probably just ruin things for herself anyway. But if it makes you feel better having a hand in it, go for it. I think it'll be pretty funny. So anyway, guys, I thought this was a pretty funny one about revenge and all that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got a crazy story to share or a crazy story you found online, something good for the channel, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.